What's going on, everybody? Ooh, that's a terrible start to the show. There's a lot of phlegm right there. Excited about
That's how
that.
we do it.
Well, I probably shouldn't have wolfed down a bunch of food right before we started, but I am starving. We're waiting for Twitch to kick in, and hopefully we can get an intro song here. Nobody's on yet, so that's good. Once we get Twitch rolling, I'll do the episode title and everything. Wait for some people to join in. I love that it tells us we have people watching on Facebook, which is where we're at now. Who we got here in the comments? Tyler, what's up, man? Thanks for joining us. You can help us find stuff to talk about today because Viking news is pretty stale at the moment. Oh, man. What did you guys have for dinner while we're waiting for this to kick in? I just had some grilled chicken and some shrimp, and it was amazing.
I had tacos. Because you can never go wrong with homemade tacos.
And I'm going to eat after the show.
Nice. Adam always finds really good deals. I'm really jealous of that.
Oh, yes.
This is the
Yeah, what is that?
podcast.
What is that Burger King that you found the loophole with?
Don't you give away my secrets.
I'm not giving it away. I'm just saying you found a Burger King loophole.
What's up, Rod? Thank you guys for joining in. We're going to get started up as soon as Twitch decides it wants to kick in as well. I don't know why it waits so long. Welcome to this week's show, though. There's not going to be a bunch of Viking news, as we just said. Not a lot going on in Viking land. There's some stuff directly related to the Vikings through other people, which is going to be fun to talk about. But we're going to go over the divisional playoffs, talk about the conference championships coming up. And I don't know, this rumor, I guess we can start in the show with the rumor, man. I'm tired of hearing the Deshaun Watson rumor. I think it's more likely that Kirk Cousins gets traded than we actually acquire Deshaun Watson. I don't know why, and I said this last week, 12-year-olds get to make their own Viking Instagram pages, and they just borrow a Photoshop that they didn't make.
Hey, that's your bad on following it.
Hey, I guess so, man. I guess I just get jump the gun to follow all these Viking pages, but
it's like the sports talk and sports rant pages on Facebook. If you join those, that's you. You're there. You made that decision. I'm not going there.
It hurts. I did make a terrible choice, and I regret it. There's no talking these people into logic, logical conversations and having a real talk about it. I think we've adamantly said on this show that the Vikings are in love with Kirk Cousins. He has grown on me over the years, especially after this year. The offense looked really good. Unfortunately, in true Viking style, everything else kind of fell apart. But he's serviceable. He's above average, not by much, but he's definitely in the top front half of those 16 starters. So Deshaun Watson's not coming to Minnesota, guys. I don't know how else to say that.
It's not impossible.
I just don't.
But it's highly unlikely. Because if people are complaining about his salary, Deshaun Watson's salary coming up is worse than Cousins'. That contract's horrible. And if people are already complaining about Cousins' contract, then I don't know what they're going to say about Watson. But as I said before in our Vikings chat and between us three guys, I don't think that the salary complaints about Kirk Cousins are about salary. I think it's more about Cousins himself and what he plays and the criticisms for his lack of, I guess, a Super Bowl win in Minnesota. I don't know.
Andrew, I'm with you, man. I got to see Deshaun Watson in person this year, and he's a hell of an athlete. He's got an arm, but it's a lot more passing than the Vikings are traditionally used to. And, we have the pass catchers to do that. But I saw some really weird things where he tried too hard on a couple of plays. The D-line's jumping up, and he's trying to, jump and throw. And so I think that goes against pretty much everything they told you to do as a quarterback. I'm not a coach, so I can't say. But, yeah, he's got some quirkiness to him. I'm not sure it'll get worked out. Viking Jerome says, trade Kirk Cousins to the 49ers for a third round. I just don't think they would take that.
Really?
Besides,
What do you think they'd do? Do you think they're going to stick with Jimmy G for a while?
I don't think they will. I think that if someone more appealing is on the market, you'll go after him, like a Deshaun Watson. I don't know where they're drafting. I don't have that up. I have the cap space numbers up, which we can talk about to kind of back up your point, but not sure what they want to do. I know that the rumblings have been out there that San Francisco is not really tied to or married to Garoppolo. And you know what? New England needs a quarterback, so it wouldn't surprise me at all if he went back to New England. Bill Belichick can make him a winner.
That system, they can make almost anybody work well. It's crazy. The number of quarterbacks that have come out of New England and just gotten crazy opportunities and big contracts, it's kind of mind-blowing. Then to see them just fall out everywhere else.
Matt Castle.
I didn't name anybody.
You were saying Matt Castle.
So if you're looking at the cap, to back up Adam's point earlier, Jacksonville, which is why Urban Meyer, if you didn't hear, is back in the NFL. He's going to be the coach of the Jags. Not only do they get the number one overall pick, but they have $75 million in cap space. So they got room to go grab some pieces to build around Trevor Lawrence, which we think is going to be the first pick. When you get down to Buffalo being the last team with positive cap space at 19, they have $1.5 million left. It gets really bad going backwards. The Vikings sit at 23 out of 32 teams with negative $14 million in the hole. Now, the problem with that is, and we've talked about it on the show a little bit, you can find a way to get rid of that $14 million, but this cap space that they're dealing with now, the number is going to be lower next year because of COVID. So they're going to have to, just to break even, they're going to have to get rid of someone or restructure, and then they're going to have to adjust based on what the cap is because it's going to go down.
Well, I think we know who's the first person they're going to ask to restructure, and it's going to be Kyle Rudolph. This is a couple seasons past due, just based on production, and especially when he was out towards the end of the year, when we've seen the other two younger tight ends really step up and show that they can be a viable option for the Vikings. I shared with you guys that the piece from the ESPN article where they list Kyle Rudolph and Riley Reif. Adam, you can list all the reasons why Riley Reif is a better player than people give him credit for, and I'm not ready to kick him off the team like seemingly everyone else is.
They're not going to sign a better free agent left tackle at a price than what Minnesota's paying him. They're not.
No.
And if you're going to rely on unproven players to protect Kirk Cousins' blindside when he's already getting strip sacked at a crazy high rate because the line can't protect, it's just ridiculous.
And Adam, correct me if I'm wrong, he was the highest graded offensive lineman on the team last year, right?
I honestly don't check Pro Football Focus enough, but I would bet dollars to donuts on it.
It can't be the interior. The three interior guys struggled a lot. I know who's at right tackle, Brian O'Neill.
Yeah, it's one of those two, and I'm pretty sure it's Riley Reif. I would bet on that.
And here's the thing, too, to back up Kyle's point. The blind side is the most important. You know, the pressure up the middle, I think, is underrated when it comes to protection. Guys like Aaron Donald and Linval Joseph that used to be on the team, those guys can wreck shop, and I think that pressure is more scary than the guys coming around from either side because it's directly in your face. But that's just what I would feel like if it was me there. But you can't.
But did you see enough from Ezra Cleveland protecting in that middle there to say, okay, he's ready to shift him out to left tackle and be the dancing bear that we need him to be?
I like Ezra, but no.
There's not enough yet, and that's not to say that it's a fail or a bust. Like you're not saying that either. But
no,
it's just not enough. We need to see more than one season.
Yeah, I'm not ready to commit to that yet.
It's frustrating, and I'm with you, Kyle. I don't know why the media has such an affection for like they got to get rid of this guy. Why? The offensive line is already bad enough, and now you're going to take the chance. Like we always say, and I know I've been adamant on the show, think about when you're going to go out and replace a player, a coach, a GM, whatever, you need to do just as good of a job, but you're probably trying to upgrade because if you're getting rid of that player, there's probably X number of reasons why. So who's going to be out there? Are you sure you're going to land your all-star 10-year left tackle in the draft? Probably not. Not at 14, you're probably not.
And do you want to open up a new need right now immediately? Now, if one of the top 2 left tackles are available and the Vikings are on the board, that might change the way this all falls.
Right.
Maybe they would feel comfortable with that. But unless Minnesota's up there in a position where they can afford to open up a new need, I just don't see it happening. They can approach him for a restructure, but if you do that, you're probably going to have to extend him.
I don't want that to happen again. I think he's valuable. I think, in my opinion, he proved that he is a commodity for the team. And that's not saying much for the unit as a whole, because the unit as a whole is pretty bad pass blocking.
Terrible
blocking, they're great. Dalvin Cook does a great job, but pass blocking has to be improved, and that's got to be one of the I would say probably the top 3 needs to look at. I think both of the lines and then secondary is probably
pass rush is number 1. Mm-hmm. Absolutely number 1.
Yep.
Number 2 is the run stopping the middle. That's number 2, because pardon me, number 3 is the interior of the offensive line, only because the Vikings proved this year that they can still have a nice high-powered offense with a couple weaknesses on the offensive line.
Well, who might be available from the Houston Texans? J.J. Watt. Speaking of things that aren't going to happen, let's just get on.
If that wasn't so bad, for what he's going to demand, I would love to see what him and Danielle Hunter would do. But can we be honest on the show? Love J.J. Watt as a human. I don't think he stays on the field enough to be as big of a menace as he used to be.
If he's an unrestricted free agent, there's no way he doesn't. If he doesn't stay with Houston, there's no way he doesn't go to Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
That's a foregone conclusion. He's going to Pittsburgh.
I'm trying to find them on here as well. They're negative $25 million under the cap too. They're actually doing worse than Minnesota. So that'll be weird to figure out.
Either Pittsburgh or Tampa Bay, assuming Tom Brady doesn't win the Super Bowl and retire. But I could see him. Hey, I'm gonna go be a super team with Tom Brady.
Yeah,
that's a new thing to do. Yeah, apparently.
Yeah.
Andrew says the cap problems are just the consequence of building a good team for 5+ years. Losing Patton is going to be the challenge to rebuild if we don't draft well. Yeah, it's bittersweet. You can miss on those guys. You end up paying them a decent amount like you did with Laquan Treadwell, and then they don't pan out and they go to other teams. Or you can do very well and wonder how long they're going to be on the team.
Well, the Vikings did pretty well in their 2020 draft class.
Absolutely.
I'm pretty happy with most of their selections. The guys they missed on, they didn't miss too bad. Like, you miss on a kickoff returner, or you miss on a punt returner, no big deal. Especially when it's a mid to late round pick. Okay, that's fine. But so far, I don't think they've missed on their corners. I don't think they missed on their offensive linemen. I don't think that they missed on their wide receiver at all. I mean, that's obvious so far.
Well,
so yeah,
I'd like to see a little more from Justin Jefferson.
I'm not totally convinced yet.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put him in the hall yet, but pretty good. Pretty darn good. Before we get too far in, I wanted to mention this during the early part of the show, is that we've reached a point in the Yahoo Survival League where if Logan's sick picks doesn't get this week's pick wrong, if he nails this pick and it's correct, he will be the winner, because neither me or A Year to Remember will be able to catch him in strikes. So we've reached that point where right now it's all hinging on Logan getting this week wrong for us to continue to next weekend, either me or A Week to Remember getting it right.
Pressure is on.
Pressure is on, and we're not going to ask who his pick is, but he has no strikes, correct?
None. And he does have his pick in. All three of us do. He picked Green Bay, I believe, last week, so they're not available for him. So this could make it a little bit tougher.
That's insane that he doesn't have a strike the entire year.
Yeah, he's got a clean run.
I think I had as long of a run in the Survival League this year as Unique Ngakoue had as a Viking. So yeah.
So you've got to look at it this way.
Good.
He likely either picked the Bills or the Chiefs. So if you were putting your money down, you'd have to believe he picked the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
If I were going to bet. So if the Bills upset KC, that could make a big difference here in this.
Which could happen. That could happen.
That could happen. Right now, point to Patrick Mahomes will be on the field. He had a very good yesterday and today. He's got a practice tomorrow, which will be a big key. But yeah,
if he's not 100%, the Bills are clicking right now. That's a tough pick.
Well, let's talk about that's a good segue. Let's talk about the divisional round matchups this weekend. What happened with divisionals and then the conference championships coming up. And let's just ask the question out there for everybody that's watching and will watch. Are you rooting for Stephon Diggs? I certainly am. I am happy for the guy. And I'll tell you what happened to make me change my tune. Because I wasn't a big hater. I don't think we were all very happy that he kind of weaseled his way out of Minnesota. But he wasn't over the top about it. But when he said Offensive Rookie of the Year is Justin Jefferson and there's no debate, he won my fandom and my affection back because I'm like, oh, so he doesn't have like a beef with the Vikings per se. It's just he wanted to be the star guy, and he can't do that here with Dalvin Cook. I mean, he is the show. I'm rooting for Stephon Diggs.
I'm indifferent.
That's fair.
I don't remember how I felt when he first left the team. So someone go back and watch the tape on that one. I'm sure I was probably more pissed off than I am right now about it. But you know what? I will root for Stephon Diggs. And it does help ease the transition from him that, hey, Justin Jefferson came in, and he's a great replacement. We can be happy about him and his time in Minnesota. And we have him to look forward to leave the team in about 5 years. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Kyle said that, not me.
We got to run the ball, man. We got to trade those wide receivers out. Get out of here, guys. Go. I know. So I'm happy for Diggs. I'll root for him in the playoffs.
The 4 teams remaining, the one team that I think most Vikings fans are really starting to get behind is Tampa Bay. I think that's got a lot to do with the recent statement from Antoine Winfield Jr. about being very happy about eliminating the Saints on Sunday.
He should have been
dedicated that performance to his father, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and bring that up, and I'm going to show everyone here because I love advertising for my friends on this show. So if you guys go over to thevikingage.com, if you see right up here a familiar face, Adam Carlson, about a day ago, wrote this article. And as you guys all know, because we're all Viking fans, Antoine Winfield was a staple in the Vikings defense for a while. So his son plays for the Buccaneers. A lot of Viking fans wanted us to take him, myself included. I know Kyle West was a big fan, but this was pretty cool. And on Twitter, it was even better. Made some grown men cry last night. That was for my pops back in 2009. When I read that, I laughed and I smiled from ear to ear, and I'm very, very happy to see that. That's awesome. And he was in the crowd too, was he not?
Yeah, Papa Antoine was in the crowd having it out with some Saints fans that didn't quite appreciate him cheering on Tampa. Okay, now I do have a question for those watching on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch, whatever. Is Tampa Bay and Tampa the same place? Or are they different cities? Help me out.
I have to know this now.
Googling it won't give you the answer.
You seem like you Googled this, Adam.
I have. And I've asked people, and I've gotten no response.
Raymond James Stadium, and that's where the Super Bowl is this year. Tampa International Airport. Tyler says it's in the same place.
So is Tampa Bay like part of Tampa?
I think so. I'm only seeing a Tampa, Florida, not a Tampa Bay.
I've never thought about that before.
I don't know. You just assume because that's the name of the team. You know, like Green Bay is just a town in Wisconsin, blah, blah, blah. But Tampa Bay.
Yeah, but it's not part of Green.
Green,
I mean,
Wisconsin.
that was a terrible analogy there on my part. Sorry. Detroit is a city in Michigan, right? I'm not thinking that Tampa Bay. I thought that was the actual name of the city, but it's just Tampa.
No, Tyler doesn't. He's questioning a little bit
I
of.
don't know.
This is crazy.
Okay, I just want to know because I've thought about it. I've asked some of my friends, my family. I've asked Twitter. I can't get a straight answer. I'm starting to think it doesn't even exist.
I will tell you this, and when he was in New England, I never said this because I could care less. But now that he's in the NFC, and just particularly because the Bucks beat the Vikings this year, I'm not rooting for either one of those NFC teams. I don't care. I don't want to see Tom Brady go back to what his 10th Super Bowl it would be.
You don't want to see Antoine Winfield beat the Packers this week now?
I am going to root for Diggs and Josh Allen, or my dad's a huge Chiefs fan. I'll get on Dad's train for a weekend and root for the Chiefs to do a repeat. But I just don't want to see Tom Brady in another Super Bowl, and I definitely don't want to see him. I feel like it's rooted up to, and this is the tinfoil hat.
We have an answer.
Oh, here it is.
That sounds.
The city. Tampa Bay is the water it is on.
So what about Green Bay?
So Tampa Stadium is in the water?
Now I want to know what bay Green Bay is on.
The green one?
The green one?
The bay that is green?
There are no bays in Wisconsin.
Final answer. Bam.
Because I was trying to figure out if it was like a San Francisco Bay kind of situation, but could never really get an answer about that.
The San Francisco Bay 49ers.
Oh, that's funny.
It's an odd situation.
Yeah, I can't. To this weekend's conference games coming up, I can't root for either one of the NFC teams. I can't root for the enemy. You can't root for Tom Brady and company to go back, even though they could. They're hot right now. The favorites would be, and I think the Super Bowl that we would most enjoy is Kansas City Green Bay. Keep in mind,
Tampa Bay did beat Green Bay during the regular season.
That's what's going to make that game fun to watch. But I don't know. I don't see that same outcome happening at all.
I'm at the point of the season where I just want to watch good football.
I don't think that game was even close.
No, it wasn't. Oh, here we go. We got a big answer. For you guys that are going to listen to the show later, you're going to learn a lot. Tampa is the largest city in the Tampa Bay area. Today, Tampa is part of the metropolitan area most commonly referred to as the Tampa Bay area for U.S. Census purposes. Tampa is part of the Tampa, St. Petersburg, Clearwater, Florida metropolitan statistical area. I had no idea that was a thing. Thank you, Tyler, for being on the spot and producing this show today. Thank you so much.
So it's the other way around. Tampa is part of Tampa Bay?
Yeah, because they're going around the bay. So Tampa is the largest city in that bay area. Google, baby. I like it.
Google sends you down a rabbit hole with that question. You got to go through some major clicking to find any kind of answer. And I know that's a weird thing to do during a Purple People podcast, but
yeah,
it's just something that's always bugged me.
It wouldn't be this show if we didn't have something weird that we talked about, and I'm all for it. Oh, let's get here. Let's talk about some scores from the weekend. I'm trying to go and find on my ESPN app, but it's not bringing up football, which is really odd. Top events coming up.
Did you Google Michael Thomas? Did you find anything good there?
I found 0 for 5 and no yard. But I'm not going to say I felt bad because he talked a lot of shit to a lot of fans. So I'm keeping the tweet up. But we did find out that he was playing injured. So I guess that could sort of make some people feel sympathetic. I don't care.
Adam brought up an excellent point where he's like, "Oh, so you could have let a healthy wide receiver play."
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
that's either terrible coaching or him not admitting that, hey, I'm not good enough to go, and it's admitting that you selfishly just wanted to be on the field to take part in Breeze's what he, I guess, now knows is his last game. I don't know how I feel about that. It's something that I don't think Adam Thielen would do. I think that if Adam Thielen were in a position where his back was hurting too bad, and if he had some wrist problems and needed surgery during the offseason, I think that he would sideline himself if his injuries were bad enough that he felt like he wasn't going to be able to help the team.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a good point.
But then again, Adam Thielen's a different kind of wide receiver.
Yeah, he's not a douche.
Undrafted. If you guys didn't
the coaching staff allowing it to happen is what's even more ridiculous. That in itself shows you how the Saints run their stuff. And I don't know. Are you guys expecting a huge dip from the Saints now that they likely won't have extremely high caliber quarterback play next season? Or
I sure hope so.
Kind of level off.
I don't like
maintain a high level.
Here's the dilemma there. You have Jameis Winston, who throws way better than Taysom Hill, but Taysom Hill's a good threat. So how long can you go back to doing this multi-quarterback thing and still be successful? Because somebody there, whether they want to or not, and they want to admit it, somebody is going to want to be the guy. Because how appealing would that be? You'd be like, hey, we want you to come be part of option A or option B in New Orleans. Like, Sean Payton is a fantastic offensive coach, and it's obvious because I think there was a stat up this year. They have the most wins in a 4-year span by a team that never made the Super Bowl in NFL history, which is insane. Dating back to the miracle, the Rams NFC Championship last year in overtime, and then this year. But, I don't know why you don't put Jameis Winston in the game. If a guy's going to throw picks, at least they would be like a punt in this because they would go farther. You know what I mean? I don't understand that.
Or do you think they'll package something together and go get one of the top quarterbacks in this draft?
I mean, maybe that, or if they can figure out their cap situation, a guy like Matt Stafford would work great there. Could get some out of him until you find the next star quarterback you want to draft. I certainly hope they don't do that. But
Stafford's going to Indy.
Oh,
he's going to Indy.
He'd work very well there. He'd work very well in New England too. That poor guy. What a travesty it's been for him.
He'd work very well in Chicago.
Oh,
very well. It'd be beautiful.
I don't want it. I don't want Chicago to ever be good. Ugh. Vikings need to go get one of those quarterbacks. Tyler is not in on the Kirk Cousins train. Tell us why, sir. Tell us why. I'm going to recap the divisional round really quick, and we'll talk about that and how it sets up this coming weekend. The Rams visited the Packers. They lost 32-18 after all that smack talk from Jalen Ramsey about shirts and going to Cabo. The Packers held their ground. Devontae Adams is a monster. He's playing the best football of his career. Aaron Rodgers is still good at football, which is depressing.
Aaron Jones probably in his last season with the Packers.
Ooh, good point. Good point. And he's running pretty well too. The Bills played the Ravens. The Ravens only scored 3 points. Lamar Jackson went out, had a 101-yard pick six. Didn't look good for him. The Bills are rolling.
Did you see the awesome, I forgot to send it to you, the awesome Lamar Jackson meme that was regular season Lamar Jackson, and it's a picture of Michael Vick, and then it's postseason Lamar Jackson, and it's a picture of Geno Smith.
Oh, God. That, or I saw that, and I saw the one where regular season is a purple Lamborghini, and then the other one's like a purple Honda Del Sol. Yeah, I haven't seen the one with Vic though. That's really funny.
Yeah.
Oh, so that was the Saturday. So the Bills and the Packers advance. I think the game of the weekend was the Browns and the Chiefs. The Browns put up a hell of a fight.
They did.
In my opinion, in many ways, and Kevin Stefanski has pretty much adopted them to be the Vikings of the AFC. Great running backs, good receivers, serviceable quarterback, good defense. A lot like the Vikings have done in the last 5 years. If not for a weird touchback thing, maybe they would have been closer. But the Browns held on to keep up a good fight all the way to the end until the Chad Henne machine came back. When I heard that was Chad Henne, I said, is he still in the NFL? He's got to be like 35, and he's 35 years old, which is insane.
And the Browns will be back next year. They'll have Odell Beckham back. They'll be ready to do some stuff offensively. Their defense have got some really good pieces.
Mm-hmm.
They should go get a safety. I'm not saying this because he's not on the team anymore, but Andrew Sendejo's his production has dipped awfully, but he's still starting at safety for them.
So do you think they'll get? You think they'll get our safety? What's his name?
Go get Jaron Curse.
Well,
so we
maybe
can watch Dalvin Cook outrun him again and score a touchdown. we do play the Browns next year.
Yeah,
that'll be fun. The Chiefs win. Patrick Mahomes leaves out with a concussion. Still, that was scary watching him trying to stand up.
I do want to say something here about Andrew Leila's his statement here. Nope, not that one. The one before that, about how teams have just been beating Matt Stafford so badly. He's taken so many hits, just completely unnecessary. And he gets up and he shrugs it off. He plays hurt. He plays at a high level. I feel for Matt Stafford. I think he's one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL, and he's just been in a really terrible situation where things just haven't worked out in the way that Detroit wants. They draft running back after running back after running back, and they still don't get some kind of answer. The GM, and then they hire coaches that are just bad fits.
Ugh.
It's been really tough for Detroit, but Matt Stafford's been there through all of it, doing his work, not complaining. The NFC just is a better place for having Detroit in it, for watching and seeing them by example.
Adam's cat says hello.
Yep.
I love it.
it's one of those things where Detroit almost owes it to Matthew Stafford at this point to be like, okay, we're just gonna cut ties. Go pick whatever team you want to sign with, and just finish your career out, man. Like,
while there's still enough serviceable tread on the tire to still be used.
yeah, go
because he came in 2009. He's going to be entering his probably 12th year. So
yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Detroit uses their pick on a quarterback as well, because they might be looking to the future finally.
Maybe he could have like a good resurrection in the second team, like a Carson Palmer to Arizona, or I don't know, Kurt Warner, the same kind of deal. Maybe that can happen somewhere where he goes and finds success somewhere else. I'm with you though.
Pull the nice Tannehill.
Well, there you go. That's a modern example. He's having a great time. Yeah.
Instead of doing any of that, Detroit will probably sign Tyrod Taylor, or some QB like that.
Teddy Bridgewater to the Lions, calling it now.
I mean, probably.
Do you think Teddy's finally done with starting opportunities?
I think if he has any time left, he has one more year until it's just backup time.
I think he'll get a competition, but I don't think he'll get signed as a starting caliber quarterback anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love Teddy, but yeah.
And Minnesota's going to have that opening for a backup quarterback.
Oh, don't.
Sean Mannion's a free agent. Maybe they'll get a quarterback that's throwing an NFL touchdown.
Get him out of town.
That'd be good.
Him out of here. Go get Taylor Heineke. I'm sure we could talk him into coming back. Ugh.
Oh, he's got that spot in Washington now.
Yeah, probably. He won the hearts of everyone there. Teddy to Minnesota, Andrew says. I mean, it wouldn't totally shock me. Just depends on the price tag. Rounding out divisional weekend, we already talked about, but the Buccaneers beat the Saints 30-20. Interestingly enough, they screwed up my picks for the weekend in a sweep. They picked the Packers, Bills, Chiefs, and the Saints. The Saints beat them and swept them in the regular season, and the Bucs took advantage of just an awful-looking Drew Brees. I mean, he's just a shell of himself, and I think they have probably the most talented roster in football. The Saints do. They've got talent everywhere. Defense is stupid good, but I named the episode for Drew Brees. He's one of the all-time greats at quarterback, and kind of wanted just to go,
Did you look to see if we did this title before?
No, maybe we did. We probably did.
Okay.
I'm sure we have.
Because it's very familiar.
Probably. God, we're at 424 in. I told my girlfriend that today. I was like, I'm running on fumes trying to figure out titles for this show because I'm just not that good at figuring out the puns here. Yeah, I just want to talk about Drew Brees for a little bit because you don't see a lot of these guys. You know, you have guys like Matt Stafford and Cam Newton that come along and they flash. Maybe they'll win an MVP here and there, but Drew Brees set a ton of records, played very, very good throughout his whole career, and brought the Super Bowl to New Orleans, which the Vikings fans, some will be mad about, which is fine. But really, that was a cool story for New Orleans, especially after all they had went through in recent history up to that point. But I think he's a stand-up dude, and I really enjoyed the moment where him and Tom, if you haven't seen it online, where they shared a moment after the game, and Tom was throwing football with his kids. But Drew Brees is going to be missed. New Orleans is not going to look the same with somebody else down there.
No.
And, he's going to be broadcasting, correct? I think I've heard that.
I
I
haven't
haven't heard anything about that. No,
I thought he was going to – let me double check on that. I could have sworn he's going to be
but there have been some players that have gone on to be very good commentators, and some players that aren't as good. I'm looking at you, Jason Witten.
Oh, nice. Here you go. New Orleans Saints quarterback, and this is January 11th this year, so a week ago, has decided about his life after football. Brees signed a contract to join NBC's Sunday Night Football in 2022, per a report, and this is on Sports Illustrated.
Probably
That's
for like
awesome.
a late pre-show kind of stuff.
I'll be excited to see him wherever. That's cool, and he can take a full year to enjoy his family and get adjusted. That's pretty cool. I'm sitting over here complaining when I wake up in the morning that my back hurts at 32, and these guys are 40 years old and older, and they're still playing professional football. Oh, man. But, yeah, I wanted to talk about Brees because he had a really unique story out of a lot of people that come in and out of the NFL. You know, some find success, some don't. Some, you know, every now and again become Hall of Famers. But, you know, you don't think of Drew Brees and think of San Diego. You know, he beat Tom Brady in the AFC as a Charger. And for them to miss out on not only Eli Manning but Drew Brees, what a horrible, horrible thing for that franchise too. But Drew Brees is an absolute first ballot Hall of Famer, and the game's going to miss him. And as much as the Vikings have kind of got to stick it to him the last couple of years, he has the Super Bowl win. He has a team and the city that kind of rallied behind him, and wanted to kind of pay homage to him with that episode title and say, hey, look, you had a hell of a career, because they were talking about the stats with him and Brady alone, like the mileage they both have combined and the years that they've been playing. And it's just like, it's mind-boggling to think that they played that long. And, you know, it's not like, you know, with Chad Henne, I was like, Chad Henne's still in the league. You know, there are guys that are old and are backups, but they're not doing what Brees is doing every year. Because he had a couple seasons in a row where he was like 5,000 yards every year, 30-plus touchdowns. It's ridiculous. So just my little rant about that. I had to give respect to one of the greats.
We can connect this back to the Vikings, too, a little bit. Because just think, Miami had the choice between Drew Brees and Dante Culpepper at quarterback, and Miami went with Dante Culpepper. Drew Brees ends up going to New Orleans and to the Hall of Fame. Dante is doing who knows what right now. We do not know. It did not work out for Dante in Miami.
I forgot about
Dante
that.
still does really well with appearances and autograph
Oh, yeah.
signings. And
He's
still
cool.
a Vikings legend. You know, so many fans that just came in, and especially during that Randy Moss era with Moss and Culpepper, that just put that combination is burned into the memory of so many Vikings fans.
He's actually, you can kind of see him behind me back there a little bit. And again, Dante Culpepper, one of my Vikings figures back there too. So,
Is he getting the roll on?
I pull him up here. Yeah, this one right here.
That's not the roll.
No, but it's pretty cool though.
All right, I want to talk for a minute or two about the scouting this year, because things are going to be a little different. Not only is there no actual combine, but there's also no East-West Shrine game. So these coaches aren't going to be able to go down and watch these players in person, do personal face-to-face interviews. But there are going to be opportunities. The Shrine Game's going to open things up for some practices, and the Vikings executives already have some people checking it out. They brought some people in, and they're going to be devoted to watching the East-West Shrine. They came up with a fancy name for sharing live video of some workouts, and I don't remember what the name was, but that's essentially what they're going to be doing. So hopefully some of those Shrine players will have an opportunity to shine, because there have been some really talented players to come through the Shrine system. Like guys like Brett Favre and Alan Page. Those guys came through the Shrine game and not the Senior Bowl. So I actually haven't heard much about the Senior Bowl. Is there actually going to be a Senior Bowl this year?
I haven't heard. I'd have to imagine probably canceled.
Because college football, they've been kind of sticklers for making sure that things happen. And you'd have to think that if there was a Senior Bowl, like an actual game being played, that a lot of players would probably opt out. But for the combine, it's going to be a lot of universities hosting their own combines, much like I said for the East-West Shrine game, where it's just going to be individual workouts shared to each team through live streams or recorded streams. I'm not sure, but the thing that I think the Vikings are going to miss the most from this is the individual interview time. And, of course, they're going to have to do something to set up some kind of rule system where teams will be able to live chat with different candidates, potential draft picks, and be able to get some sort of feel for them, because I feel like that's an area where the Vikings excel, is when they can sit down and talk to these players one-on-one, figure out what they're up to, what their motivations are, pick their brains, and learn a lot about them before they have to do so on the football field. So I hope that they can figure something out to where this doesn't hurt Minnesota's evaluation process. I also hope that the changing of the staff for Minnesota doesn't impact a lot of the scouting, because Minnesota did lose their head of scouting. And it's going to be a tough offseason to determine who the Vikings are going to draft. And now, more than ever, it's wide open.
Yeah, we said that earlier with the I don't know. For guys like me, we don't think about other assistants that come along. You have a guy that's like, hey, this is my wide receiver return specialist guy. He could find all of them. He helped find this guy, this guy, this guy. So when I heard, assistant, I was like, oh, okay, what does that mean? But finding out later, because we talked about it last week while you were out, Adam, that this guy, he was the go-to guy for scouting.
Right.
As much as we've looked at guys like Laquan Treadwell that should have worked out, and Cordero Patterson, not really panning out for his position, but good at other things. For every negative that the Vikings have had, they've hit on players too, and they found value. We mentioned Dalvin Cook being in the second round and slipping. Diggs was a fifth round, whatever. And your scouting still goes into undrafted guys like Harris and Thielen. So, and Danielle Hunter's a good example. Eric Hendricks falling. So, how much of a blow is this going to be the story of the offseason for the Vikings? That's my question, I guess, what I was trying to get to, because who's next up? Who's the guy that succeeds him? This is my other question to that, because it feels
Minnesota
like
did all they could to protect Patton. They did. They gave him positions that didn't exist in order to just keep him for as long as possible. I think they did a pretty good job holding on to him for what they could, but oh man, seeing him go, that does stink. And that they're going to do some good drafting over there in Denver now, and hopefully not too good, because Denver is only a few. They're not a few picks ahead. I think they're several picks ahead of Minnesota, but they are choosing ahead of Minnesota.
What else do we have up here to go over? I mean, that's good for them too. And what's great is he's going to be a no-name, no-face guy, because a lot of guys aren't going to know it is following John Elway. And for John Elway to be such the figure that he was in Denver, for how bad they whipped on quarterbacks and stuff there.
Well, the good news is that Minnesota hasn't been able to draft quarterbacks either. So
yeah,
there's some continuity. I mean, the best quarterback that the Broncos ever drafted. I mean, you got to look at it, and you met him in an airport. I mean, that's who he is.
I was about to say that's not really much to stand on. And I'd heard that earlier today, tying in the Deshaun Watson stuff from earlier. When have you found a guy that's in his prime at the youngest age? Like I think Deshaun Watson's like 25. That was a free agent.
Yeah,
it's going to go for as much as Deshaun Watson's going to go. And it was Jay Cutler. I think he went for 2 firsts. So that's crazy. Because when you think of Jay Cutler, I think of the Bear. And I think that was
right. When I think of Elway, I think of Denver, and for some reason I can't. It always surprises me when my mind remembers, oh, yeah, they didn't draft him.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I wanted to talk about this because it was cool. We can tie in the Viking Age, too. But your buddy Adam Patrick wrote a good article about former Viking players that could return. And I just wanted to hit on a couple of those and see if anybody in the chat is interested. We kind of talked about this last week. I think he burned his bridge, and it's not going to happen because it's been.
The answer is no to Everson Griffin.
Yeah, Everson Griffin's not coming back. Even though the value and the energy that he brings, I think, is great. For one of his little Twitter tirades that he's been on, I think he pretty much burned that bridge. So
yeah, Everson Griffin ain't coming back. J-Ron Curse ain't coming back.
He doesn't want to be
Captain
back.
Munnerlin ain't coming back.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about it here, but if you want to look up what happened there, that was pretty crazy. Look up what happened with Captain Munnerlin.
Captain Munnerlin hasn't been relevant since 8 years ago. Why would he come back? Why would he come back to the team?
Michael Pruitt was an interesting one.
Didn't he get nabbed for writing bad checks?
Yes.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he
yes.
did. I wasn't going to.
So, he needs some money. And he missed all of last season for those legal issues.
Speaking of needing money, is Adrian Peterson on your list?
Oh, no. I knew it was going to happen. I wasn't going to say that either. Where's Adrian going to be? Where's his last snap going to be at?
I don't want to say I feel sorry for the guy because
I hope he gets his dream and gets to play in Dallas.
Sure.
He can't be much of a downgrade from Zeke. Zeke sucked this year. I know firsthand from my fantasy team. I was like, bro, I got Zeke, and I got this guy and this guy. Like, it's all based on the running backs for me, and he was doo-doo this year. So, that's a good point, Adam.
Andrew, you'll have to Google it, but he was just a judge just said he has to pay millions of dollars in some kind of
loss. He just had a settlement against him, and he's worse than ever.
So
what's crazy, I think I looked at his stats, is last year, I think he was in the 600s or the 700s for rushing. He had like 7 rushing touchdowns. So he's definitely going to have a job.
He can contribute.
He can absolutely jump in and do some damage, but he's not the feature back anymore. That's for sure. This one was interesting for me. Michael Pruitt at tight end. I like that guy, but I like what I see out of Irv Smith and the Gronklin on the team. So big fan of that guy.
Yeah, I like the young tight ends the Vikings have right now. And if you're going to add another tight end, you might as well add a young, high-ceiling, late-round draft pick tight end to the mix and see what you can get with them. I mean, you don't go out in free agency and sign a player when you already know his ceiling.
What about Cordero Patterson? Is he still locked in Chicago?
I
believe he becomes a free agent this year, right?
I would love for him to come back.
I'd actually be okay with that.
I would love that. Because the kick return game has not been the same since he left.
No?
Not at all. And he's big enough, too, where if the Vikings really wanted to get him out and put him, hey, go be a fullback for this play. You're not going to be the Vikings.
No gadgeting. Stop with the gadgeting.
All the gadgets.
No,
let's do all the
let's get Webb back here, too. Why not?
Do it.
If you wanted to block and be
do the Wild Webb offense. Let's do it.
I'm not saying that. Don't put that evil on me. I'm not saying to do the gadgets anymore.
C-Pat and Webb, Wild Webb. Let's do it.
It was the Blazer package, Adam. That was what Bill Musgrave. It was the Blazer package, and I believe it involved Joe Webb and Percy Harvin. If I remember correctly.
Yes, it did.
The best wide receivers the Vikings have ever had. Yep. He's a New York Giant, by the way. We talked about that last week.
Still going.
Still going. Andrew Sendejo is number 3 on the list. I do not want him back. I like that he's a hard hitter, but he's not he's not up there on my list of everything that I've seen him do for the Browns is usually a negative. So
The Vikings need to find some safeties though, because they ran with 2 this year from at the beginning of the season. Then they brought Josh Metellus up, and he was doing what he could do, I guess, for having no experience really in the NFL. And then they were signing people off the streets. So, yeah, let's get a nice starting caliber safety next to Harrison Smith so they don't have to drop him back in coverage constantly. So they can bring him up to the line of scrimmage, do some run blitzing, some pass blitzing, patrol the middle of the field.
Andrew, I don't think the Vikings did any flea flickers this year. I don't think they did. I don't remember one. If they did, it didn't involve Kirk. I'm going to say no on that, and a misfire missile. Thanks. I appreciate that image there. Because when the Vikings do trick plays, they go absolutely down the crapper, so that's cool.
Whatever happened to Jerick McKinnon?
That's the next player on the list. So
really?
He had 2 seasons back-to-back where his knees were messed up, which is really sad because San Francisco was going on a Super Bowl run. That's part of the reason why when San Francisco went to the Super Bowl last year, they had an undrafted free agent at running back.
Pretty sure he burned his bridge too.
Oh, Jerick McKinnon?
Yeah.
I don't remember. What did he do?
I don't remember that either.
He told Minnesota that he wanted out if he wasn't going to be a featured back.
Oh, my how.
Okay, thank you.
2020 stats: 81 carries, 319 rushing yards, 6 touchdowns.
And then he went to the biggest committee ever in San Francisco.
Yeah.
We have like 6 running backs on the roster, and any of them could carry the ball at any time.
I think he would be the most realistic of those to come back.
If he was on this team right now, he would be the 3rd running back.
Yeah. And you know
I
got
4th, maybe 5th.
Who do you have above him if he's 4?
Abdullah?
Do you think Abdullah?
I'm kind of with.
They like using him as a receiving back and a change of pace back.
With the injuries too. I mean,
yeah, actually, you're not wrong.
And I'm not sure if he's better than Boone.
I don't know.
It was a nice tandem, but you gotta remember too, and this is just me being the pessimist here.
Now, Abdullah and Boone are both free agents as well, but I think Minnesota can lock both them down for almost league minimum. I think that's what they should do and bring them both back, bring back that entire running backs room, because I think that was one of the more successful parts of this team, and then you don't have to worry about that at all. I think you're all set.
I agree with that.
I think, too, that to Jerick McKinnon's success that year, the Minneapolis Miracle, you got to remember, Latavius Murray was the 1-2 punch with him there, and everything was kind of clicking that year. The offense flew through 13 wins with Case Keenum at quarterback. I mean, maybe his good year where he demanded all that money when he left was a product of, okay, this is a 13-win team. He was part of a 1-2 punch.
Man, that was a special season.
It was.
Yeah.
And it might have been a little heightened because of that year, because he hasn't done anything since that, anything close to that since. His stats are okay for this year, but it's nothing that would merit, this is a feature back role. 81 carries, 319 yards, 33 catches. He had 6 touchdowns, which was nice. But
what's that, a little over 4 yards a carry?
To me, this looks like a running back 2 at best on a team. That's what it screams to me. That's not.
Yeah, he's a committee running back. You don't want to put too many more miles on those tires.
Which is fine because it's a committee league. Really,
not in Minnesota, it ain't.
Well, not in Minnesota, but for most of the rest of the league, it's running back by committee. Although Minnesota would
be wise to cut back on Cook's snaps a little bit. Yep. I'm not saying take him out. I'm just saying don't hand him the ball 32 times a game.
Well, we start running that Wildcat package.
Yeah, with Cordell Patterson at running back, quarterback, and tight end. It's going to work. You know what? I'm with you on that too, Adam. And you know what the other thing and we can speak to this, the Seattle game being one and seeing a couple of others.
The Wild Banyan package.
Let's figure out, just for that specific, let's say we're going to put in Madison for a series. Don't set up the same run plays for Cook because they don't run the same. Can we do something?
No, they're different runners.
God, that was frustrating.
Yeah.
I liked Zimmer's aggressiveness going for that fourth down in Seattle, but that's going to piss me off for a couple of seasons thinking about that because there was a gigantic hole to the right that he missed. I guess that's just something I had pent up and I needed to share with everybody. But
Yeah, he got no blocking from the guy in the hole where he was supposed to go, and it just ended up poorly.
This team has a lot of needs.
yeah,
But guard, either guard spot.
both.
Both. Please upgrade.
I get Drew Samia the hell out of here. Don't ever let him play on this team again.
Now, Kyle West said something in the chat the other day that I thought was really cool. He was talking about how he was watching the games, and he was watching some of the guards pulling, and that's something he never really paid a lot of attention to before. And as a Vikings fan, if you go back and you watch some of those Randall McDaniel plays where he was pulling his guard, he was one of the best in the league at doing that. And that kind of athleticism for a guard can spring so many plays. So when you're watching those kind of plays develop, seeing those athletic big guys just looking like they're going to go for a block and then turning and running and blocking a guy in a different direction, those can be so big and open up holes. And if Minnesota can find a player that can do that on the interior, whew, that could be scary for Dalvin.
I want to see them maximize his years because they've already invested in him. And we've talked about this on the show. You know, that paid off this year. It looked like it paid off well. But
he didn't make it to the season. Somehow Kirk did after absorbing all those hits.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That's another thing to talk about.
He's tougher than we give him credit for.
Yeah, he is.
He absolutely is.
Yeah.
He was taking 12, 13 hits a game towards the middle and end of the season, and it was disgusting.
Here's the Jeopardy question of the day. Who on defense played the whole season as a starter last year? The two safeties? Was it Harrison Smith only?
I think it was Harrison Smith only.
I think it was just him because I know Harris was out with something. I want to say it was a back or a shoulder or something. It's just Harrison Smith because Dantzler was done, Hughes, Gladney, both the linebackers. I don't know if Eric Wilson started every game. And then, God, I don't even want to talk about the defensive line because that was just a nightmare. Yeah, I think it was just Harrison Smith. That's a good question, Andrew. Very good question.
Yeah, the Vikings coaches were actually talking about that in a video on Vikings.com. And they were saying how they have never seen a defense get as ravaged as Minnesota's did this year. And it's absolutely true. When you look at the roster top to bottom, it's amazing this team was able to do what it was able to do because they went into the season just hoping that the cornerbacks could hold up. They went in there with Mike Hughes and Holton Hill being their starters. Holton Hill is unemployed. Mike Hughes will probably never play a snap again.
Oh, man. That was a little cocky, a little arrogant of Mike Zimmer, for sure. And
well, I don't think he really had a choice.
Well, true. And the other part of that, too, I guess the part where I thought it would be a little cocky and arrogant was you knew by the end of March we were going to be in a pandemic and it probably wasn't going to stop. At least till April after the draft, you're like, oh, shit, this is a thing, right?
Paul Smith was ejected but not suspended.
Yeah, I was there for that game. That was the Houston game. He was ejected at halftime, like right before the half. If you're talking about this season, I'm not sure about last year. I don't really remember.
But yeah, the defense, they're going to need some retooling. I would not be shocked at all to see the Vikings pick the best pass rusher available at 14.
I'd be happy with that.
I also wouldn't be surprised at all to see if there are multiple targets they really like being a trade down. Now, what would shock me is any kind of trade up.
That's
it's not that the Vikings don't have the ammunition to. I mean, I know they don't have a second rounder, but they have several third rounders. They got some fourth rounders. They could kind of trade around a little bit. And if a target they really like comes up, they could try to put together a package to move up. But it would still surprise me.
It would be so Minnesota of them too. The year after a playoff win in New Orleans, you go out and it doesn't look like you need a ton, and they get 12 to 15 players, and then the next year when you need a bunch of stuff, they would just put all those together, piece it up, and they walk out of this draft with like 7 players. That'd be the most Minnesota thing ever to do. Got to figure out a kicker too. Got to figure out the kicking situation. I think that's the one guarantee for the roster that we can kind of talk about. Probably be done with the show because we've been rambling for an hour.
Although I don't think they move on from Dan Bailey. I think his contract's in place. They might draft someone to compete, but I don't think he's going to get cut or anything.
Bold hot take there. Dan Bailey's still.
It's not a bold take when you look at the contract.
That's fine.
He'll come into training camp. He's coming into the preseason.
Man,
he'll be there until final cuts. Unless another kicker can beat him out. And so far, Minnesota's been drafting kickers, letting teams snipe them off the practice squad, cutting kickers after they sign them. It's been a bad time and for special teams. And Minnesota did announce that the special teams coach would not be renewed on his contract, right?
Yeah, we talked about that last week, and rightfully so. The special teams was abysmal this year, all the way around.
So I would not expect to hire on that until a couple weeks after the Super Bowl when they can do a little bit more research. But that I think is number one priority. I think they're doing all right at punter since both the punter and the kicker had 3-year deals that they signed last offseason.
I like this comment. We need to stick with Colquitt for holding, even though he's an average punter.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
He's not going to blow you away with his punts, but yes, because
he's consistent.
Yeah, he is consistent.
Yeah,
you're absolutely right. And it did. Once he came in and figured out the hold, everything from that weird season a year ago or a year and a half ago, whatever, that kind of fixed itself, which was really nice.
And they could bring back DePaulo too. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, it's going to be some changes. I think more than we probably are used to or ready for. But
because Minnesota might need a new offensive coordinator, they're going to have to shuffle things around. The code defensive coordinator thing, I don't know how that shuffled out. How they're going to keep going with that.
Adam, I don't think
to figure out.
I don't think you were on the show that we talked about Gary Kubiak potentially retiring. What do you think? Do you think he's gonna call it a career, or will Mike Zimmer and Rick Spielman get on the airplane and fly to Mississippi?
I'm for retiring. One more go.
One more go at it. What do you think?
I wouldn't blame him one bit for retiring. He's had one heck of a career.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe Clint will get the call up.
Right. Wasn't Brett Favre coaching high school football somewhere? Maybe he can come in and be our offensive coordinator.
Maybe. All I know is that the Chargers' new head coach is a small college school head coach there, and it's interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of good vacancies. It's been an interesting off year already, even though there's still a lot of vacancies there. Robert Saleh from the 49ers is the new Jets coach. He signed today. Urban Meyer's in the NFL now, which is going to be
love it. Tebow time, baby. Bring him into Jacksonville.
It's sunshine time down in the Sunshine State because he's going to make Trevor
Lawrence. That does open
really
up
good.
The fact that the number one overall pick might not be Trevor Lawrence.
It'll be Trevor Lawrence. There's no way it's not Trevor Lawrence. He took that job knowing he's getting Trevor Lawrence.
But he's not linked to Trevor Lawrence already.
Yeah, that don't matter.
I don't know how you pass. I don't know how you pass on that guy.
Yeah.
There are some really good high potential quarterbacks this year's draft.
And Tim Tebow.
But that's all I've got for this week. You guys got anything else you want to talk about?
I think that's it, man. Divisional games are set this weekend. The Buffalo Bills go to Kansas City. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers go to Lambeau and face the Packers. And
conference championship games.
Man, and I'm happy with this because the best teams are there. and I think it's going to be very entertaining. I just have a feeling because all of the playoffs so far, and this is not really a hot take, guys. This is just generic shit here, but all of the games thus far have been pretty good to some degree. One of these games is going to be a total dud and a stink fest. One of these is going to suck, and I'm not really sure which one. Because we're bound to have at least one playoff game where you're like, that was very underwhelming. So maybe the Baltimore game this weekend was, but even then, they were only down by 2 touchdowns, and I was like, oh my God, are they going to make a comeback? But we'll see. I'm rooting for the AFC. Screw the Packers. Tom Brady, you've had enough. Get out of my face. All right, let's promote some stuff. Kyle West, you're up, sir.
Hey, link is on the bottom of the screen. Go check it out. I'll keep it quick because we're over an hour.
Yeah, go check this out. You can get Purple People Podcast merch. Kyle also does awesome photography work. You can get a bunch of stuff printed on many, many things. Give him your money.
Do you do commissions, Mr. West?
Yeah, if you need something, hit me up. I can
Awesome.
see what I can do.
Otherwise, you can head over to thevikingage.com or undeadwalking.com. Both also have apps on whatever your mobile device are. You can get information about the Minnesota Vikings or The Walking Dead sent straight to your phone. Get a nice little notification when things come up and join in the conversation about those things. Also, I haven't been on Twitch in a long time because honestly, I haven't really been feeling it. My internet's been poop lately. So hopefully I'll get back in the swing of hopping on Twitch and playing some games. And when I do, hopefully you can be there to play some games with me.
Do it. And we represented this earlier. I know you said it already, but I wanted to double tap. Go to the Viking Age. Go over here to Undead Walking. Find an article from Mr. Adam Carlson up there. Click on it. Interact. It's really easy. Help pay his light bill. Do it.
Yeah, sharing is awesome if you can. Commenting is just as good as a share as well. Everything like that can help just keep me paying my bills, which it's been tough lately because I've got some I'm still paying my taxes from last year, so help me out, guys. Help me out.
As always, you can find us here too on YouTube and Facebook. We'll start doing that too, Adam. We can link some of your articles straight to our page because we're going to help you out, damn it.
YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, we're all over if you guys want to talk to us. I don't think we check our Twitter as much as we probably should. But you can join in the conversation on Facebook and, of course, live during chats here. We always appreciate that.
Yep. Shout out to everybody that joined in today. I'm glad that we have the Facebook option now. Hopefully we can build up the Twitch following sooner rather than later. But we got our old faithfuls in here, so we appreciate that.
Absolutely. So thanks again, everyone who joined us, shared some comments, share our shows, likes, subscribes, all that fun stuff. And we'll see you back here next week, talk about the results of the conference champion games and any Minnesota Vikings news that happens along the way. So everyone stay safe and stay classy, Minnesota.